So here we have the Ribble New Sportive Racing. For those of you not familiar with the brand Ribble, they're a direct-to-market company based up in Lancashire. Over the years they've earned a huge reputation for offering incredible value for money and bikes with incredible specs, of which this is no different, and hence it's our best value bike of 2015. So a bike that wins best value must have some pretty good kit on it. So for your £2,500 on this bike, you get Mavic Ksyrium Elite S wheels, which they retail at over £500. You've got full Dura-Ace with no emissions. Again, that's a group set that's going to cost you over £1,000. Even the simple things like the bar, the stem, the seat post are all from Deda Superleggera range. That's £300–400 worth of kit itself. All topped off with a Ksyrium saddle too. If you sit down and work it out on paper, this bike's got over £3,000 worth of parts alone. So that retail price of £2,500 starts to look pretty impressive. In the past, we might have criticised Ribble for, definitely not for the spec, but on occasion hanging all that great spec off pretty average frame sets. Now, there's been a bit of a sea change at Ribble. They've started designing in-house. They've started to come up with their own proprietary designs on frames, of which this is the first. So the result of that is this new frame. The actual frame weighs around 1,100 grams, which is pretty good. This is a 58, a fork at about 390 grams as well. So it's a reasonably lightweight chassis. There's plenty out there that are lighter, but they're probably not hanging the same sort of equipment on them for this money. The geometry is a little bit more sportive than it is race, but it's very much a kind of classic British roadman's take on the sportive bike. So it's not super tall at the front, it's not super short, it's just incrementally slightly shorter. So the reach is probably 7mm shorter than an out-and-out race bike, which is very, very difficult to tell. Stack height is pretty much bang on what you'd expect. There's 10–15mm taller up at the front. Very difficult to notice that on the road. So what did impress us about this bike was is the stiffness inherent in this chassis. It feels nice and sharp, it feels nice and tight. Maybe marketing it as a sportive bike wasn't necessarily the way to go, because if you take away some of the spec details on this, I don't think it'd be as comfortable as it is. Simple things like they've spec'd the 25C tyre, which enables you to just drop the pressures ever so slightly if you're riding on poor surfaces, just to get that smoothness going on. And when you're hanging some of the best bars and stems and the seat posts and the saddle, of course, off of that, it all goes to make those contact points really, really nice and comfortable. But even with that, when it comes down to it, you can still feel that this bike is rock solid. Depending on the way you like your bikes flavoured, that's either a really good thing or a bad thing. And let's not forget that this bike is running Dura-Ace. It is the mechanical form. Some of you out there might go, well, if it's a big bargain exercise, why wouldn't we have Di2 in its Ultegra guise? But in our opinion, we'd still opt for the mechanical Dura-Ace over the cheaper Di2, definitely. It's that little bit lighter. The shifting accuracy is absolutely perfect. Braking's wonderful. There's very, very little to fault it. And we do like that, they've called this a sporty bike. They've spec'd the gearing right. You've got a 50/34 on the front, 11/28 out the back. Really nice range of gearing within that. You can go as fast as you like, and you've also got that low-end climbing prowess as well. And of course, Dura-Ace mechanical, really, really light. Add that up to all the other light bits on this bike, and this bike tips the scales at just over 7 kilos. But it's damn light for a £2,500 bike. So in all, what you have here is a bike that's got incredible equipment, a really, really good ride, and offers value for money that you just won't find anywhere else. The one thing we will say on that, and it's something that Ribble do quite often, is bikes of this magnitude of spec, they tend to do these as quite limited runs. So if you're interested in this bike, I'd be putting my order in right now.